Malacañang Press Corps. And we are live today. Magandang hapon. Welcome to our press briefing today, November 28. This afternoon, we will be getting updates on the government's comprehensive peace process. We have with us Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin, Presidential Advisor on Peace, Reconciliation, and Unity Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr., National Security Advisor Eduardo Año, Interior and Local Government Secretary Benjamin Abalos Jr., Social Welfare and Development Secretary Rex Gatchalian, National Economic and Development Authority Secretary Arsenio Balisacan, Presidential Communications Office Secretary Attorney Cheloy Velicaria Garafil, Armed Forces of the Philippines Chief of Staff Romeo Bronner Jr., and Philippine National Police Chief Police General Benjamin Acorda Jr. And now we will give the floor to our panelists to make the opening statement. I missed a very important secretary. We have with us, of course, Defense Secretary Gilberto Teodoro Jr. And now, please have the floor. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this press conference to make that announcement of the Oslo Joint Communique. I will now turn over the microphone to Secretary Galvez, who was there.
Isang mapayapa at mapagpalang araw po sa ating lahat. I am honored to deliver, upon the instruction of the President of the Republic of the Philippines, His Excellency Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., the Oslo Joint Communique. This joint communique highlights a significant milestone in the quest of the Filipino people to achieve peace, reconciliation, and unity. I am therefore privileged to report that the government of the Republic of the Philippines and the National Democratic Front of the Philippines have agreed to a principled and peaceful resolution in ending the armed conflict. Allow me to read the joint communique. The Oslo Joint Communique. On November 23, 2023, the government of the Republic of the Philippines and the National Democratic Front of the Philippines affirmed and signed a joint statement to wit, cognizant of all serious socio-economic and environmental issues and the foreign security threats facing the country, the parties recognize the need to unite as a nation in order to urgently address these challenges and resolve the reasons of the armed conflict. The parties agree to a principled and peaceful resolution of the armed conflict, resolving the roots of the armed conflict and ending the armed struggle shall pave the way for the transformation of the CPP, NPA, and DF. The parties acknowledge the deep-rooted socio-economic and political grievances and agree to come up with a framework that sets the priority for the peace negotiation with the aim of achieving the relevant socio-economic and political reforms towards a just and lasting peace. Such framework that will set the parameters for the final peace agreement shall be agreed upon by both parties. Consequently, we envision and look forward to a country where united people can live in peace and prosperity, unquote. The joint statement is a product of a series of informal discussions held in the Netherlands and Norway starting in 2022 between the emissaries of the GRP and the NDFP with the facilitation of the Royal Norwegian Government. The parties recognizes the initiative of former Armed Forces of the Philippines AEP Chief General Emmanuel T. Bautista Jr., which was personally welcomed by then NDFP Chief Political Consultant Professor Jose Maria Sison. It was signed by the GRP represented by the Special Assistant to the President, Secretary Antonio Ernesto F. Lagdameo Jr., the Presidential Advisor on Peace, Reconciliation, and Unity Secretary Carlito G. Galvez Jr., and General Emmanuel T. Bautista, and by the NDF, represented by the National Executive Council member Luis G. Halandoni, Negotiating Panel Interim Chairperson Julieta de Lima, and panel members Connie K. Ledesma. The signing was witnessed by the Royal Norwegian Government Special Envoy Christina Lie Rebholm, the Foreign Minister of the Royal Norwegian Government Espen Barth Eide graced the signing of the ceremony, which was held at the City Hall of Oslo, and affirmed the continuing commitment of the Royal Norwegian Government as third-party facilitator. For their part, both Secretary Antonio F. Lagdameo Jr. and Luis G. Halandoni expressed optimism as to the positive path to peace that both parties shall work on. End of communique. I take this opportunity to call to all Filipinos to unite and fully support our President, Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., and your government in this most noble endeavor to finally realize our collective and shared aspiration of a peaceful, prosperous, and united country. Mabuhay ang kapayapaan, mabuhay tayong lahat, at mabuhay ang bagong Pilipinas. Maraming salamat po.
We open the floor to questions from the media. Ivan Mayrina, GMA7.
Yeah. Secretary Galvez, ang ibig sabihin po ba nito ay tapos na rin ang armed insurgency? Wala na magkakaroon ng enkwentro sa pagitan ng mga armadong NPA at ang ating mga kasundaluhan? Ano hong magiging immediate effect nitong joint communique na ito?
Yung immediate effect po nito ay ang ibig po sabihin ng itong joint communique at saka itong joint statement na pinirmahan nila, this is some sort of their collective, our collective decision between parties that we are very firm and committed to have the framework agreement, and afterwards we will have the final discussions on the final peace agreement. Pertaining on the different operations that we are undertaking, sa ngayon po nandun po sila sa Netherlands, and we are undertaking some of the administrative and some protocols that will be undertaken in the future exploratory discussions.
But translated to the situation on the ground, wala pa ho itong immediate effect.
Sa ngayon po, ang ano po natin is, kung ano po ang ginagawa ng gobyerno, patuloy po yung ano po natin, yung ating pong programa. So it is agreed upon that there is no immediate effect.
So yung mga operations po ng armed forces sa pagtugis sa mga armadong grupo, patuloy?
Opo.
Thank you.
Pia Gutierrez, ABS-CBN.
Secretary Galvez, ano na pong mangyayari dun sa terrorist tag ng CPP-NPA with this new development, sir?
As I have said earlier, it will be for further discussion. They lay it in the table, but it will be for further discussion. So they are undergoing the discussion right now with our negotiating team, and I cannot preempt the discussion that being undertaken right now.
Follow-up lang, sir. Sir, what brought about this this development, sir? Because there have been many attempts to talk peace between the government and the CPP-NPA. What was different this time around, sir?
So nakita po natin yung ating mahal na presidente, talagang even dun sa inaugural speech niya, talagang yung aspirations natin to have a peaceful settlement of all conflicts. So yun po ang nangyari. And during the early stages of the administration, ang maganda po is nagkaroon ng personal exploration si General Bautista, and he reported to the President, and he reported the development. And nung makita po ng ating mahal na presidente yung magandang nagiging result, we were able to explore it. That's the reason why na nakita natin naging maganda yung negotiation, and we were able to come up with the joint statement, wherein ang joint statement doon ang nakikita natin is ang pinaka-highlight is we agreed na we would like to end yung armed struggle and armed conflict in a peaceful resolution.
Kenneth Paciente, PTV4.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, nakatulong po ba ang agreement sa pagbibigay ng amnesty sa mga rebelding grupo dito po sa development na ito, sir?
We should understand na yung amnesty, granting of the amnesty has been long been the program of the national government, even during the time of President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. And when we saw the longing of the former rebels on having the amnesty, we recommended to the president for the continuance or for the extension of the proclamation, considering that the proclamation that made by President Rodrigo Roa Duterte has not been consummated or executed, considering that the limited time of 1 year had already expired. So this is a different program that we have undertaken, and it has been our program not only for the CPP-NPA but also for the MILF, for the MNLF, and also for the RPA-ABB.
Sir, may I also ask the other secretaries po kung ano po yung magiging role po specifically po ng DSWD and NEDA dito po sa development po na ito, sirs?
Sa amin, sa DSWD, ang lente na tinitignan namin ay kahirapan at kagutuman. So kami, ang primary goal namin is maiahon ang bawat Pilipino mula sa kahirapan at sa kagutuman. So yun yung aming mandato dito for every single Filipino.
Sa NEDA naman, as we all know, instability, particularly political and in this case, instability, war, is very, very costly to the economy. And so efforts to achieve peace, particularly in the countryside, is surely inclusive and growth-inducing. So napaka-important sa atin yung peace efforts na ganito.
Jean Mangalus, Inquirer.net.
Good morning. Good afternoon. Can we ask if so there's no ceasefire right now. Is there a timeline to reach a ceasefire?
As Secretary Galvez has said, these are preliminary exploratory talks. And all programs, security, law enforcement programs of the government shall continue.
If I might add yun sa local government units, yung effect nito, napakatindi na epekto nito. Because this is already grassroots. No? Ramdam ng local government units, especially those affected by insurgency. What is important will be this transition period na kung saan, of course, it's sabi nga ng ating mahal na Pangulo, it's a whole of the government approach. Kaya nandirito kami nga lahat ngayon. Diyan na after peace and order is always a key ingredient in every economic development. So diyan na papasok lahat, magtutulungan lahat ang ahensya towards this goal. Of course, andyan sa grassroots ng local government units.
Jean Mangalus.
Siguro question po to General Bronner and Sir Acorda. How does your units, your institutions react to this, given that yung mga tropa niyo po nakaaway yung mga taga-NDF before? How do they react?
Well, for the armed forces of the Philippines, this is very good news for us, no? Because it is the soldier, more than anybody else, who wants lasting peace, no? Who wants this conflict to finally end. Kasi nga po, para sa amin, parang naging personal na itong laban na ito. Marami sa aming mga kasamahan ang namatay dahil dito sa insurgency na ito. Marami sa aming kamag-anak, pinsan ko mismo, no, namatay sa kamay ng New People's Army. So this is really a personal victory for us. And aside from that, if this conflict will finally end, your armed forces of the Philippines will be able to shift our focus to external or territorial defense. No? So, yung aming pong resources, efforts will be poured into defending our territory. Pero habang wala pa po final agreement, your armed forces will continue our operations against the New People's Army. Thank you.
Well, on the part of the PNP, bilang ama ng pulisya ng Pilipinas, talagang napakasakit po every time that I will pin medals to wounded police officers, and more so when I give condolences to relatives or wives ng ating kapulisan na nadadali sa mga engkwentro ng pagkikilaban. And in line with this is a very welcome development. I hope this will lead really to long and lasting peace, and I look at it as a way of adding more food to the table sa mga Pilipino, and instead of spending more money sa ammunitions and other armaments, madadagdagan po yung ating mga makinarya at saka may infrastruktura that will help us attain maximum development. That's how I look at it, and it's a very welcome development po.
Thank you. Let's hear from Secretary Anyo, National Security Advisor.
Yes. On the lens of national security, our objectives actually is to eliminate the threats to national security, one of which is the threat from the CPP-NPA. For more than 5 decades, andyan yung CPP-NPA. And I think it's about time to have closure. Closure that is acceptable to everybody, to the Filipino people, particularly ending the armed struggle. So with this, I think this is a very, very good opportunity to be able to give, well, Amnesty is actually in tandem with this particular agreement. So kung magtutuloy-tuloy ito, lahat naman ng conflict ay natapos sa settlement. No? Kahit look at the history of the world, lahat ng giyera halos natapos sa negotiation and settlement. And maybe this is the what you call the final agreement that we can come into, and matapos na rin yung armed struggle. And if they can avail the amnesty, I think finally matatapos na natin itong 5 decades of communist insurgency. And tuloy-tuloy pa rin yung NTF-LCAC, particularly on bringing services and development projects to the countrysides.
Thank you. Question from Raquel Bayan,
Sir,
Radio
following
Pilipinas.
this development po, may we know kung meron pa po ba tayong active guerrilla fronts na minomonitor as of the moment, and kung nasaan po kaya or ilan na lang po kaya sila? Following this development, sir, may we know kung meron pa po ba tayong active guerrilla fronts na minomonitor po?
Yes. So right now, we have 20 weekend guerrilla fronts. Wala na po tayong active guerrilla fronts. And by the end of this year, we are expecting 5 of these 20 to be finally dissolved. So magiging 15 weekend guerrilla fronts na lang po ang matitira.
Ivan Myrina again, please.
Sirs, would you say that this is just a matter of time before we finally achieve the long-lasting peace? Or are there certain pain points na kailangan pa po talagang i-negotiate? Are there certain demands being made na medyo nahihirapan tayo ibigay?
Sa ngayon, nakita namin yung sa negotiation na ginawa, yung tinatawag nating exploratory talks na ginawa ng ating national team. We saw na wala pa namang talaga serious demand na ilalagay dahil kasi ito, exploratory pa lang ito. But I believe nakikita namin with the confidence na nakita namin na when I first talked with them, and even nagkaroon kami na talagang some cordial discussions. I can see that there is a positive outlook na it will end up with a final peace agreement. Because our talks in Oslo was founded on good faith and also on goodwill and also in sincerity. When the party said that if we will maintain that goodwill, I think we can finally end up with the final peace agreement. In fact, yung maganda yung meron tayong tinatawag na maganda ngayon yung ginagawa natin because General Bautista was able to lay down some of the milestones. One is yung joint statement that we have right now, and then later we will have the what we call framework, and then after the framework that will set the parameters, we will have the final peace agreement. This is patterned basically with the Aymayala peace process because we also briefed them with the Aymayala peace process.
Last question for me. Secretary Teodoro, I understand you said na wala pang ceasefire sa ngayon, but traditionally nagkakaroon po tayo ng Christmas ceasefire. Is a Christmas ceasefire in the offing or is it being talked about?
I had the occasion to answer the question yesterday that we leave it to the local peace and order councils and the area commanders, unit commanders to determine whether or not they will suspend operations in their area of responsibility. Gusto ko lang maidagdag siguro na kapag itong usapin na ito ay magbunga sa isang kasunduan, mawawala ang final ostensible political basis na mag-wage ang grupo na nag-espouse ng CPP, NPA, NDF line for any armed struggle. That will be erased, the political basis for it. So it is important.
Kenneth Paciente, PTV4.
Sec, may we ask, how do you describe po yung sincerity itong mga rebelding grupo dito po sa development na ito, sir?
Hindi ko matatansya sa ngayon. Si Secretary Galvez ang nararapat na sumagot niyan. This is a whole of government approach. And as things develop, naturally, we will get the appropriate instructions from the President.
With my experience with dealing with a different rebel group, I have seen that this time we have learned from our lessons from the past. Considering that we have been negotiating for almost 21 years, 23 years from now, and with the gut feel that I had, I believe nakita ko personally, there is that kind of commitment, and also there is a kind of goodwill on both parties to continue to discuss some principled resolution to end really the armed conflict. So yun ang nakita ko na based on my personal experience, that there is, we are very confident, I'm very confident that there is something that after this joint statement, we can finally end up with the final peace agreement.
Okay. Thank you very much. This ends our press briefing today. Thank you, distinguished gentlemen, and thank you, Malacañang Press Corps. Have a good afternoon.